the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
Not true. When Biden entered office, the unemployment rate was 6.4%. When Barack Obama entered office, he was left with a 7.8% unemployment rate. 7.8% is higher than 6.4%, Kamala.
We came in during the worst public health epidemic in centuries.
First of all, the COVID-19 outbreak was not an epidemic. It was a pandemic. Major difference. Second, the influenza pandemic in 1918 had a 2% fatality rate compared to COVID's 1%. So no, not the worst in centuries. So far, Scamala is 0 for 2.
We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
Any politician that claims that J6, a 2-hour riot, is the worst thing to happen to our democracy in the last 150 years either doesn't know their history and or is a liar. If you're a politician and you claim that this was worse than the attack on Pearl Harbor or worse than 9/11, it's immediately disqualifying.
As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
Incorrect on multiple levels. First, Kamala is saying that every single job created under the Biden-Harris administration was a new job, when in reality, the vast majority of those jobs were recovered jobs. That means the amount of new jobs is a fraction of what she is claiming. Second, let's play the clip again, for clarity.
As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
PolitiFact labeled Kamala's claim as mostly true. Non-farm employment has increased by about 15.9 million jobs from January 2021 to August 2024, the period that Biden and Harris have been in office. Manufacturing employment has risen by 739,000. But on a pure mathematical level, you can't say that almost 15.9 million is over 16 million. And you can't claim that 739,000 is over 800,000. That's like if I held up $8 and said, I have over $10.
We have the lowest Black unemployment rate in generations.
Nope. The Black unemployment rate last month was 6.1%. During the Trump administration, that rate was down as low as 5.3%. That means no, Black unemployment is not the lowest in generations. Despite being another false statement, PolitiFact listed this as half true, because of course they did. And to put this all in perspective, Kamala Harris is lying about Black unemployment data to 3 Black journalists who just sat across from Kamala and slurped it up. I know you're shocked. And to show you just how unserious this conversation with Kamala Harris was, it needs to be pointed out that the NABJ journalists didn't ask a single question about fracking for oil or natural gas, or immigration, or the border, but they did ask her about joy.
Before we conclude, Madam Vice President, Joyful Warrior has been used to describe
You didn't see that just a minute ago, though. Okay, back to my joyful part.
And your opponent and Republicans have at times weaponized you laughing in campaign ads, for example. Why is joy important to you to insert into this election? And what do you make of Republicans using that as a way to suggest that you're not a serious candidate?
Madam Vice President, why are Republicans so negative of your joyful campaign? And why are they racist for making fun of a Black woman's laugh?
Well, sometimes I think, and I'll say to whoever the young people are who are watching this, there are some times when your adversaries will try and turn your strength into a weakness. Don't you let them. Don't you let them.
So Kamala Harris's strength is her cackling? Okay.
I find joy in the American people. I find joy and optimism in what I see to be our future and our ability to invest in it. I find joy in the ambition of the people. I find joy in the dreams of the people.
I find joy in the laughter of a middle-class child. I find joy in seeing what can be unburdened by what has been. So this election season, Oprah Winfrey took time away from shilling for Ozempic and Weight Watchers to produce a 1-hour infomercial event to try and sell Kamala Harris as the second coming of Barack Obama.
Thanks for joining us for this very special event, Unite for America!
And Oprah brought along a bunch of very important celebrities to make the case that Kamala Harris is, oh, she's just fantastic.
What do you want to say? Why did you want to join us here tonight?
I'm just smiling from ear to ear, Oprah. I have never felt this much joy and optimism in a campaign in a long time.
What?
Hello, President Harris.
Oh. Yeah.
Absolute cringe. And come on, do you think that an endorsement from Ben Stiller or Jennifer Lopez or whoever the hell this is going to convince undecided voters to support Kamala Harris? Julia Roberts' political opinion is not going to lower your grocery bills. And do you really want to take advice from Chris Rock, whose biggest accomplishment in the last 2 decades was getting slapped at the Oscars by Will Smith? Is his opinion going to fill up your gas tank or lower your grocery bills? Spoiler alert, no, it's not. And neither will voting for Kamala Harris.
So, Madam Vice President, we are, like many, many young Americans, just experiencing a very high cost of living. Now here we are, and our mortgage is incredibly higher than what we thought it would be. And we really would love to know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Unfortunately for Rachel and Garrett, Kamala doesn't have a plan to help them. All she could offer was a word salad.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family, and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that.
To paraphrase The Simpsons, you don't win elections with salad.
And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries.
My plan is to bring down the price of groceries by bringing down the price of groceries.
So that's why I'm taking on, for example, price gouging. Which is when, most companies and corporations are good, but for those bad ones, they take advantage of people, especially during a pandemic or extreme weather, and they end up jacking up prices, and there needs to be accountability and consequence for that. So I'm going to be taking on price gouging.
Kamala Harris is promising to go after price gouging corporations, despite the fact that, A, she's the current vice president and could take action now, and B, never mentioned price gouging a single time during her first 1,278 days of her vice presidency. Why? Because it doesn't exist.
But it's also about dealing with what we need to do around home ownership. Look, I grew up a child of a mother who worked very hard. She raised me and my sister, and she saved up, and by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy a home. And we grew up actually for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center that was owned by the woman we called our second mother because she helped my mother raise us. And she was a small business owner, Miss Shelton.
So what does the story about Kamala's hardworking mother and Miss Shelton, the small business owner, have anything to do with Rachel and Garrett's struggles as a couple living under Bidenomics? Absolutely nothing.
So I'll bring all this together to tell you the way I think about it is, one, when people work hard and have a dream of buying a home, we should give you the opportunity to be able to do that, which is why part of my plan is for first-time homeowners. buyers to have a $25,000 down payment assistance to buy your first home.
However, that $25,000 down payment assistance doesn't help Rachel and Garrett because they already own a home. Was Kamala not listening to their story?
Part of my plan is what we need to do to support small businesses, because my second mother was a small business owner, and I love our small businesses and our small business owners.
But Kamala's small business policies don't apply to this couple either, because Rachel works in a nonprofit and Garrett is an insurance underwriter. Everything that Kamala Harris mentioned is not going to lower Rachel and Garrett's costs in any way. But I'm sure that they're super grateful to hear the story about how Kamala's mother was able to save up and buy a home 45 years ago. That'll pay the bills. The biggest news from Oprah's infomercial event was that Kamala Harris owns a firearm and she intends on using it.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
Yeah, probably, but it's fine because the media was more than ready to help clean it up.
So I believe Vice President Harris had a firearm when she was district attorney in San Francisco. I believe that's right, and she's had it for personal safety at her home where it is locked up.
You hear that, America? It's for personal safety and it's locked up. Not sure how Jake Tapper knows all of this, but whatever. It doesn't matter because according to Kamala Harris's campaign, she didn't mean any of it.
Well, she was joking. I mean, and obviously the vice president's given multiple interviews, and she knows that every single thing that she says will be picked apart. So, I mean, it was a joke, and she knew that we would still be talking about it today. But it was a joke that we're still talking about today.
Great excuse, Keisha. But it's possible that they have to say that she was joking because California doesn't technically have what is known as stand your ground laws, which means that depending on the circumstances, if she did shoot someone in her home, Kamala could be charged with a very serious crime. But it doesn't matter anyway, because actually, Kamala Harris doesn't really believe in stand your ground laws.
We need to pass reasonable gun safety laws in our country.
Is there the thought to revise this type of laws?
Which,
Stand your ground.
yeah, well, I think there has to be.
So to be clear, Kamala Harris claims that there has to be changes to the same law that allows millions of Americans to protect themselves in their own home.
But here's my point, Oprah, is that I'm not trying to take everyone's guns away. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and I'm in favor of assault weapons bans.
Listen closely to what she's saying. She's not trying to take everyone's guns away, just the guns that you own that